Hey YouTube, it's Jim again. I'm reporting back on my adventures in front sight. I just wanted to get to what I learned, what my experiences were, and what you might experience as well. First and foremost, I got some notes here. I had fun. Um, Going and shooting is always fun. It's never a bad time. Obviously, unless someone's not being safe, it's going to be a good time. I will say I did the 4-day practical rifle class. The first day was pretty awful. It's hot. It was Nevada in early October, so it was in the upper 80s. It wasn't terrible, but just it's still hot. We did a lot of air gun practice, they call it, I think. Holding a fake gun up in the air and pulling the trigger, and kind of getting the safety down. I realized that there's new people there. There was 58 people in my class, and of the 58, at least a dozen seemed like they were first-time shooters. I know a lot of people said they were, but I just was guessing probably, maybe a quarter of the people, or maybe less than that, were first-time shooters. There seemed to be one child who might have been under 12 in the class, a couple women. They had, several former military, current SWAT, current police. It was, a good mix of people. So I realized the first day is going to be just catching up people, making sure we're all safe, making sure we're not, flagging people or muzzling people, that is. Yeah, the first day was pretty awful. I kind of thought I made a mistake. We shot like 30 or 40 rounds, I think, the first day. It was just really slow going. 8 hours on a hot range. Wasn't very comfortable. I think when you're moving around, you're more comfortable because your body's loose, and sitting in an uncomfortable chair. I was actually sitting on the edge of a trailer thing. I don't know what you call it. It's not very fun. It got better and better though. The second day we did some more fun things. We did what they call the Wilson Wall. Wilson Wall is, I have some videos of that. It's a couple of they set up 4 different ones. There's basically a sheet of plywood, 4x8 probably. It had 6 positions on it, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, 1 on each side, and they're numbered in kind of random order, where if you shoot number 1, you're shooting standing over the left side, and you shoot number 2, you're kneeling on the right side, and 3 is on the bottom left, so you're prone, shooting under the board. 4 is on the top right, so you're standing again. 5 is on the left, so you're kneeling again. 6 is on the bottom right, so you're prone. Kind of a zigzag positional exercise. That's the kind of stuff I really like. I love doing positional stuff. I love shooting distance, or I like shooting close, kind of rapidly. But it was a lot of fun. That was, more exciting than the first day for sure. And we did that at 100 yards on steel silhouette targets, and it was a good time. Something else I learned the first day was how they make their money. I know that my kind of skeptical video of before I went, everyone addresses it. Why are some people paying $2,000 for these classes, and some people have a lifetime diamond membership for $250? Some people pay more or less than that, but that's just what I paid. Everyone's wondering, most people, of course, are going to get the diamond membership or greater, and they're just, that's the end of the income of front sight, other than the, background check yearly thing. I think I'm new to this, so I don't know everything. But I learned that I had a friend who went to front sight years ago, and he said during the breaks they'd go and pick up their pistol brass, and it was totally welcome, and it was fine. If you want to go out and not rest, you could go do it. Well, there wasn't a lot of breaks in the AR class. We kind of walked, far away downrange and got the gun off our shoulder, and we had slings. And after the course, we walked over and we started picking up our brass. And this might come to a revelation to some of my classmates that I met and I'm connecting with, but we started taking some brass, and we picked up kind of our section. We just figured we'll take that back, and we reload. We shoot competitions, and it's not a cheap thing to leave behind. If you shoot a couple hundred rounds, it adds up fairly fast. I think we shot just over, the class called for 540 rounds, and we only shot I think it was under, I think about 300 is what I shot. It wasn't that many. So, 300 is not terrible, but that's a lot of people leaving a lot of brass behind. And I kind of did some math, and I think I figured out where they're profiting. And we talked to a couple people. We actually got in a little bit of trouble. They hire some guys to come out and fill up some buckets, and they clean the range every day, so they're not smushed, and they sell it. They process it and sell it. They told me they ship it to China or overseas maybe, and I don't know if that means they just clean it and maybe swage the LC stuff or what, but he told me that they sell it, and that's 100%. Well, it's some percentage of how they make their money. It's how they're in operation. It's perfectly clear to me that that land is very cheap. I'm in real estate. This is my office, and it's pretty clear to me that that range or that land was very cheap. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's land, here in Utah. I look for land for people all the time, and there's bigger parcels for under 100 grand. I mean, it's got to be some cheap land. So anyway, I did some math, and assuming, so my class was 58 people, just assuming the other three classes, or the other two classes, there's three I think total. I'll say there's at least three. I know there was three while I was there, 3 4-day classes. If 58 people shot just 300 rounds, not the 540 they recommend to have, that's 17,400 rounds per class. So that's 52,200 rounds for 3 classes for a 4-day class. If you do the math, I kind of looked up some brass prices. I've bought brass in the past just to have a big supply and be able to reload for a match or whatever, but I kind of found a good deal on commercial non-crimped, so let's just call it processed brass, for $9 per 100. And I actually just realized I made a mistake. I thought it was $9. I accidentally wrote $9 per 1,000, so I'm going to convert this in my head really fast. My math said that if it's $9 per 1,000, that's $4,680. So I'm going to multiply that by 10 because 9 per 100, not per 1,000. So it's 90 per 1,000. So that is, let's see. Oh no, I did that right. I'm sorry. Forgive me, I'm confusing you. 90 times 52. So if we had 52,000 pieces of brass on the ground, $90 per 1,000. That's $4,680, $4,680 in brass. That's if they're all shooting 223. There's plenty of guys shooting. There's a guy shooting at 243. There's a guy shooting 308. There's a kid shooting 5.7 by 28 a PS90. There's a couple 7.62 by 39. I don't think they're AK. I didn't see any AKs, but some kind of a conversion. I think they're just an AR shooting, by 39. So we have $4,680. I was kind of working in reverse. If it was my business, let's say each of the coaches or trainers there at Frontside is making $100 a day. It's kind of okay, wage. It seems like. So there's about 5 on our range at all times. There's one kind of main instructor, and then 4 people watching the line, and it's 5 per range, 3 ranges. So that's 15, daily rate wages. That's $1,500. That leaves Frontside with $3,180 from the brass. So in a weekend, if they're making $3,180, they're paying off the land. I mean, I could look up comparables in Pahrump, and there's no shortage of land available there. I think it was just over 500 acres. That should pay off the land very quickly. We're only talking about the 4-day practical class over a weekend. That's it. So that's pretty good profit. Just $3,100 for a company that doesn't have a lot of overhead. They just have land and they shoot on it. Paper targets. Steel's not going anywhere. It's pretty low overhead kind of place. They obviously, they have a good facility. They've improved it quite a bit. But anyway, I'm going to get on. I learned that because they actually made us leave the brass there, and we've heard horror stories of people being banned and stuff like that if they didn't leave. They told us all this. I don't believe it, because obviously we wouldn't come back if we were banned, and they just end their income. So anyway, another little observation. everyone there was pretty vocal about being annoyed about the ridiculous marketing that the Millionaire Patriot does. And I'm sure they know that. There's nothing new. I'm sure that they kind of unapologetic about that, and it's working, I guess. Whatever. I learned that the pro shop is an interesting place. It seems to me, what it seemed to me was if you have some type of membership, and sometimes with some occasions you can have some credit. And maybe if you buy a whole bunch of memberships and sell those off to your friends and family, they reward you with, for example, I have a friend who has like $2,000 in credit. So we're thinking, well, we can get a lot of pants and belts and holsters and maybe even a gun or two, and we can just go nuts, and we could rent guns and just have a real good time. Well, it's pretty clear to me that they price everything at least around double, I'll say. And the reason they do that is because if you use your credits, you pay double. So your credits if you get credit, divide it in half. That's really what real money you have. A diamond membership like me, you get 40% off if you pay cash. So if you have a lifetime or a diamond membership or higher, you get a 40% off discount. So you're really paying at least 10% over, Amazon or some normal, Midway, Brownells kind of pricing. So that was pretty interesting, but in a way, sometimes if you don't have a sling, you don't have the right belts, just whatever, I'll buy it. I'm middle of nowhere. I need this. It's going to help my enjoyment. I kind of went not knowing what was appropriate. Some matches we show up with red dots or 4-16 scopes, and we really needed a 1-4 scope or things like that. Anyway, I'm trying to be a little brief here. Sorry about the length of this. So anyway, I bought a belt, a 511, tactical belt to hold my mag pouch on my left side, and I don't regret it. I definitely overpaid, but I enjoyed my experience more because of that, so that's fine. One of the things I also learned was they actually have kid classes. I didn't know that. There's a lot of kids there running around, and they do kind of like ropes course, kind of miniature things, and they do kind of self-defense things. If a stranger comes up to you, what do you do? And I like that. I think that's really appropriate, and it's kind of creating a better next generation where less bad things happen. Anyway, back to the class. I learned, I'd say more than I thought I would, but I didn't come out thinking I'm a better shooter now. It wasn't about how to hold. I mean, there was a little bit about that, but it wasn't ground-shakingly amazing stuff. One of the things I learned was malfunction drills, how to take care of your gun if something happens to it. We learned about type 1, 2, and 3 malfunctions and how to take care of those, and we learned about the difference between a tactical reload and an emergency reload. And some of the terminology, I guess, is mostly what it is. I know how to use an AR. I know these things very well, but it was neat to kind of put terminology with the malfunction or reload, just so we can communicate easier with people. And guys I went with were liking those things quite a bit. I learned the ready positions. Front sight teaches 3 ready positions, and for a rifle, I assume it's the same for a pistol. I haven't done the class yet, but there's high ready when your muzzle's over. You're looking right over your muzzle at the target. You're ready to go. There's ready, which is the toe of the stocks in your shoulder, and you're really ready to go there too. But it's just low. You're pointing the gun down 45-degree angle. And then there's field ready, where the rifle is slung. I had a single point sling, and it's just kind of hanging. You just kind of relax. You're ready, but you're relaxed. I learned what gear is good and bad. I bought a Kydex double mag pouch, and I wish I had it with me to show you. Maybe next time I'll show it to you guys. Bought it from a buddy who owns a Kydex holster company. I will have a link to his webpage. I had some critiques for him. It wasn't perfect, but with some time and stuff, in this kind of class with the environment, we can make it perfect. We can make it very good. I just had it's held together. The belt loops are held together with 2 screws on each belt loop, and I lost 1 on each of them after the second day. So I mostly just recommend you Loctite. I also wanted to kind of tighten down the thickness of the belt loop. It was fairly thick, so it's kind of hanging off my belt a little too much. So we're going to kind of make another version, I think, together and kind of perfect that. Back to gear, or another piece of gear. I had been in an environment where we were doing some long range shooting. There was a course. I was laying prone for 3 days straight. That's not fun for anybody. I'm getting more and more used to it, though. I think my body's adjusting. But laying out in the sun or standing on the sun for days and days and days, that can take a toll on your body. I think the first 3 days I was wearing like kind of dress type socks, and that was a bad idea. The 4th day, we went to the Walmart in town, bought some thicker, squishier socks. I was wearing the same boots the whole 4 days, and my feet felt really good that day. I could have just gone out all day, which we did, you know. The other thing I got was a kind of like a really thin material hoodie. So it's long sleeve with a hood. And in some of these videos you'll see my channel here, you'll see I was wearing this hood over my head, and then I had the earphones over the hood, so that I was just completely, I was facing away from the sun. We were facing north, and the sun's, you know, typically behind you. And that was kind of a hit. I had a couple of buddies and a couple of other people I met that were kind of a fan of that, and I learned to use that in this long range class I did a couple years back. And just because I had a really bad sunburn the first day, my arm right here, I was kind of laying down and just got plastered with the sun. It was only like 75 degrees. It wasn't hot at all, but the sun still gets you. You know, you live and learn. And you know, you might think I'll be hot if I wear layers, but that was a really thin layer. I didn't get any sun other than just a little on my cheeks when I turned around or something like that. So that was a very good buy there. For this class, you're shooting 200 yards as close as 3 yards without sights. You're just kind of pointing and shooting. But from 7 yards to 200 yards, you're using your optic or your red dot or your iron sights. I didn't use iron sights at all. I used a red dot once on my. I brought my 300 blackout just to have some fun. But my opinion is the best optic you can buy for this class is a Vortex 1:4 power PST. That is a very, very good scope. I've had it for a while, and I've used it in a couple matches, and I haven't really tortured it too bad. But I really liked that one. That was a really good scope. Has illumination if you need it. I didn't use it at all because it was bright. But just really crystal clear glass. Using it on 1 power at 15 yards and under, and using it 2-ish at 25 yards, and full 4 power at 50 to 200 is great. I did the Wilson wall thing, that board at 200 yards on the 4th day, and that was really fun. We did it once. Everyone went through it once, and after we went through it, and we struggled a little bit more because it was further, and we were getting tired by the 4th day. They said, we're going to do it one more time, but this time we're going to do it timed, and we'll just keep track of who wins, and we'll recognize you. And I actually set the fastest time. I was 6 for 6, which is pretty incredible, that distance. Most guys missed at least twice. I was 6 for 6, and I did it in 45 seconds. So that was pretty stellar, and I only had a 4 power at 200 yards. So you're not hitting a 4-inch round. You're hitting a silhouette, so it's not that small, but you definitely need to kind of hold still as much as you can. So if it's in your budget, you can find it for almost everywhere for $4.99. If you know a dealer, you might be able to score a little better deal, but it's pretty commonly just to be $4.99 in most places online, Optics Planet or Amazon, or most anywhere. I talked about the trainer, my doubt in the trainers when I was, I hadn't been there before, and just kind of what I'd heard. I'd heard from a lot of people saying that the trainers are just Joe Schmoes off the street, and they don't have any experience with shooting, and they're kind of just new shooters anyway, and they kind of put themselves they kind of act like they're, John Wayne, and they have no real experience. That wasn't really the case. I think that they all had pretty, great shooting experience. They're all gun guys, as I call them. I think what I noticed was I think almost all of them had some military experience, which is great. But like I said before, that does not mean you're the best shooter in the world. I mean, in this class that I was attending, um, forgive me if you were this person, there was a police officer from, I won't say the city, there was a SWAT team member, there was, there's people who were, they should be some of the better shooters in the world, and they didn't even come close to qualifying. They got worked so bad. And so, you see these guys who are training everybody and they're past military experience, and then there's guys who are actively in the military or SWAT or police, and they're getting completely worked in this class. And so it kind of right in itself shows you that they're not necessarily, Rambos or whatever. But for the most part, they know what they're teaching. They're confident in what they're teaching. I was the one guy out of our 58 people in the class that had a silencer, and I chose to use my silencer just because it's fun, for one. A couple guys from California asked me, why are you using this class? I just said, it's fun. What does it matter? And I wasn't trying to be rude, but I'm here to have fun. I want to have fun. I mean, it obviously adds weight to the end of the rifle. I think it's adding 24, 25 ounces into my gun, but it was fun. It was cool that everybody could hear my shot, and I tend to be a quick shooter. I get on target quick. I think that optic really helped me. But people always walk down the line and said, I can always hear you shooting. I can hear your shot because it's like a sneeze sounding. But anyway, I'm tying this together with the trainers and my silencer, that because a lot of them had some kind of really dumb comments to me about it. I have a Mirage cover on my suppressor, and it's a Mirage cover. It's not it doesn't protect it from scratching and scuffing. I guess it kind of does. It's not the purpose of it, but my Mirage cover's on there. It has bungees around it. It's secured on it, and one guy called it a cozy or something like that. One of the instructors, and well, is that him saying he doesn't know what it is? Like he's kind of proving that he's a little ignorant about what that is. And he said, would that fit on my beer? You think it would fit on my beer? And sure, that's a little funny, but I think a couple of times there's things like they'd say things that don't show that they're very experienced, and that's fine. They could live 10 miles away in California. I understand it's not legal everywhere, but everybody that I talked to lived in Nevada, and they're totally legal to own there. And not that everybody should or can own one, but I just thought it was a little ignorant, and a lot of them were asking me a lot of questions about it, and they're obviously fascinated by it. It's not a very common thing, but it just kind of was like, okay, these guys, they know their guns, that's great, but they don't know some NFA items that well. That's fine. I know. I'm not judging them on that. Too bad. Anyway, that's kind of a big wrap up of my experience. I think all in all, yeah, it's fun. It's worth it. As for how well I did, I was debating even telling you. Of the 58 people in the class, 3 people had the Distinguished Graduate honor, and that's where you do very, very well. It's a lot harder than I thought. The test consists of shooting 100 yards in the position of your choice, but you have very short time to shoot, in 5 seconds. So I chose to shoot prone. I got down in time, I made my hits, and I did great. 50 yards, 25, 15, and 7, I believe. So all that shooting, probably, gosh, at least 3/4 of the class were out of contention for being a distinguished graduate. You were able to lose 15 points. That you start with a full score, and you lose points as you miss a little bit or don't do something in time. You lose about 3 points every time, and at the point of, basically the halfway point of the whole test, I was at -9. That was the second highest score in the class. I got totally worked though in the malfunction testing. Gonna be honest, it's very hard to remember. This malfunction I do this, and that malfunction I do that. And, I thought I did really well. I thought I was right on the line. To be a distinguished graduate, you have to have a -15 or less, so you don't lose 15 points or less. And it's very, very easy to lose points. Some of the malfunctions you do, there's a lot of steps, and it's very fast timing. I have a pretty big hands, and one of my problems during the whole class was I kept on, we check the gun, check the chamber, and then we'd roll it over and tap tug, and then we'd cycle the bolt. And the problem with that was when I rolled over to slide the bolt back, my finger was resting right on the mag release, and so I charge it and go like this, and then my mag drops down, hits the floor. I kept on trying to train myself, keep my finger up on like the ejection or on the dust cover, or way below the magazine release, but I just kept on just relying on that to rest my finger on. But I got dinged for that one. That was -3 points. I think there was the type 3 malfunction where it's a double feed. I got dinged on that one. I think I skipped. There's a step that not a lot of people teach where you sweep your finger in the mag well to clear the kind of chamber area, and other people just teach just to go rack it, and just because you'll get it out eventually. And I just forgot that one step, so I got dinged again. But I guess there had to have been one other one. But anyway, I earned graduate. I was a high graduate, so I almost got the distinguished. But there was, like I said, there's 3 people, 2 of which had already done the class, who had already been distinguished graduate. But one new distinguished graduate in our class, good. I consider him a friend now. He's a former Army member and a current police officer, stellar shooter. He did it with a Neotech, red dot. He's a stellar guy. Just a good guy. Congratulations to him. His name's Brian. Anyway, that's going to wrap up my longer than I thought review. I guess there's a lot to talk about. If you have any questions, please comment. Please subscribe too. I'll have more videos about me just talking about my experiences in shooting. I shoot a 22 long rifle match every month, and I just won the last one, and I'll post some pictures and some commentary about that. If you guys have questions about that, I'd love to talk to you about my setup or ammo or scope or whatever. So signing out. Thanks a lot.